Charles, thank you for having me here today. This is an exciting time to talk about some of the things I know we're going to be talking about, and certainly some of the things I know that I don't know, but maybe soon we will all know. And I think one of the things that's most exciting is the name. It's Encore Season 2. What could that possibly have in store for us? Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it sounds silly to say, but I'm really excited about the season two name. Kind of the name of season two went through a lot of iterations during development. It started as Encore or codename Reborn. That was kind of the internal name that I was sharing with a couple people. And then of course the obvious one is 2.0. I think a lot of people have talked about seeing an Encore 2.0. But it's kind of a complete re-envisioning of what Encore was and also what roleplay in general can be. And I wanted a name or a tagline that kind of exemplified that, and I think season two really fits. It's a totally new season with totally new ideas, and it also kind of leads into the future, right? What could we have for a season three or a season four? Because that's the intention, to continue building upon this and continue revamping it. And I think it's great to have that demarcation between a season one and a season two and a season three, representing a huge evolution in what Encore is and what roleplay can be. So that's kind of the background behind the name season two. In the end, it's just a name, but it's one that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, a future-proof name to go along with a lot of other future-proofing I know you've been working on. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the framework that this new glorious season two is going to be built upon?
Yeah. When I started working on season two, which, believe it or not, started about 3 weeks after season one ended, I kind of looked at everything that we had done in season one, and we had some really amazing accomplishments and some really unique things. But throughout the entirety of season one, there were things about the framework that we built, because we didn't use ESX or VRP or anything like that, that I felt were holding us back and required more foundational changes than simply tacking more things onto the framework that we had built for season one. So I spent a lot of time just going back to the drawing board and envisioning a new framework and building a completely new framework for season two that I hope will be future proof, and can be reused for season three, season four. So I don't have to go completely back to the drawing board in the future. But it's been completely rewritten from the ground up, with a lot of focus paid to real-time events. So I know one of the things, just as an example, that was kind of a pain in season one was if two people were both looking at the same stash, and someone took something out, you got to close out a stash, go back in to see what the person had taken out or put in, kind of thing. We've completely gone away from that, and everything's real time. You're looking at an inventory with someone, you're searching someone, you have two police officers searching the same person. They're both going to see those changes happening in real time. Overall, there was really, really big foundational changes to inventory to accommodate a lot of the features that I wish we could do in season one, but it just wasn't feasible. Serial numbers on weapons, components, customizable components for weapons, crafting, just a huge number of things that we're going to be able to enable in season two, because we rewrote the framework from the ground up. Additionally, performance was a really, really big factor in the rewrite. I'm incredibly proud of the performance that we're seeing out of this new framework. And I think it'll lead to a really, really good experience in the city for everybody, even on lower powered computers. I think you'll be able to have a really great time in season two, just due to the unrelenting focus on performance. So that's kind of the big keynote parts of the new framework, is the focus on performance, a lot of changes to inventory, and just overall optimizing things and making things work just a little bit smoother. That attention to detail that I always talk about.
Yeah, we all know 5M needs that attention and needs that efficiency. So I can't wait to see that in action. Speaking of efficiencies, I hear we're going to be switching to native voice chat. That's going to be a pretty big change. What have you got to say about that, Charles?
It is, yeah. And I know that can immediately be of concern for some people because they've had bad experiences with quote unquote mumble VoIP. in other cities and other servers. But I can tell you that Mumble and the built-in native Grand Theft Auto voice chat and its implementation of 5M have come a really, really long ways in the past year or so, and it works incredibly well, and it allows us to do some really neat things into the future. So first off, we didn't go use a pre-existing, like Mumble VoIP off of the forums or something like that. We completely wrote our own implementation of GTA's native voice chat. That is a lot more performant, makes a lot more sense. Just it works a heck of a lot better. So it's the comparison of native voice chat in Encore versus another server. There's no comparison there. It just works, and it works really, really well. We've done extensive testing on that. The bottom line is it's the future of where 5M as a whole is going. Things like Toco VoIP are not dying. They're still really thriving, but if we look into the future, those projects will start to lose favor, start to lose support. And so I wanted to make sure that season 2 was future-proofed and really set up for the direction that 5M was going in. I wanted to make sure we did it right. And it's going to enable us to do a lot of really cool things in the future. It's not quite making it into launch day, but one of the things that we're testing is audio occlusions for buildings and vehicles and things like that. So some of the things that I have in a test environment right now is occlusions for buildings. So you can't hear someone if they're inside of a building and you're outside, or you can, but it's very muffled. If you're standing right at the door yelling, you can hear the person that's inside, but it's going to be a very muffled. It sounds realistic, right? If you're in a big, huge, empty building like Pacific Bank, your voice has a little bit of reverb and echo to it. If you're in a car, people that are outside of the car aren't going to be able to hear you unless, of course, your windows are broken or they're rolled down. So those things, while they're not quite going to be in there for launch day, that's the direction that we want to take native voice chat. And that's kind of one of the big motivators for making that switch, is just the huge potential that it offers us in the future.
Two things. My immersion. That's going to be awesome. Also, I think a lot of us will look forward to the day that we can truly perma TeamSpeak and Toco VoIP.
Yes, it's one less. Yeah, it's one less thing you have to have running. It's one less thing that can break. All your settings are in GTA. And yeah, the immersion thing. I've seen some other discussions about kind of this switch and the possibilities with audio occlusion. And like it brings a lot. It creates a lot of interesting role play scenarios. A good example is like Evangelico's heist. You know, if the police can't hear the people inside and the people inside can't hear the police, well, you got to get a hostage negotiator to call them or get on a radio channel with them, right? It opens up a lot of interesting opportunities. So yeah, very excited about the potential there.
Okay, so this next one might have a lot of us going, what? But I'm sure there's good reasoning behind it, and I myself am actually kind of excited to hear about the character changes and the rule of only having one character this time around. Charles, what have you got behind that?
Yep. Yeah. So season 2, you've got one character, one life to live, and it's not a technical restriction there. It's more of learning from season 1 and learning from other servers and watching how things have played out. And really, if you think about it, the vast majority of people only really play one character, and by only having one character, it gives you an opportunity to really invest in that character's story, and where you want to take that character. And this isn't something that I'm going to say, you know, you will never be able to have two characters. You know, we live and we learn and we iterate based on what we find. What we found from season 1 was that it just made sense to have one character. The vast majority of people only played one character, as it were. And so that's kind of where we're going to start season 2 out, and we'll see down the road how that works out. I'm really optimistic for that change. And I think most people will adapt to it and find that it makes a lot of sense. If it doesn't, you know, we can always take it another direction. On the note of character changes, I was really proud of the character selection screen in season 1. I think we were probably one of the first servers to have a character selection screen that actually showed you your character on the screen and wasn't just a list of names. And trust me, that attention to detail on a character selection screen has been paid to on season 2. We're coming back with a fun character selection screen and creation screen, just like we had in season 1. There will be something kind of new and fun in season 2, just to I don't know, the first thing you see when you log in, right? Gets you excited to hit
Yeah.
the start button, start playing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can't wait. Gotta buckle down on Live, I guess. Darn. Okay, so we're gonna be seeing more player versus environment activities. What kind of stuff do you have in store for us there?
We are, yeah, and it's something that it was kind of accidental. We were developing a feature and testing it with a group of people, and it was very much focused on player versus environment, not so much involvement from like police kind of thing. And we found that it was really, really fun, and really kind of harkened back to, just like GTA Story Mode or GTA Online Mode. And I want to put a focus in season 2 on building more of those activities where you can just get together with a group of friends and go do something that involves a challenge, but it's not necessarily a challenge versus other players. There's just it's less PvP and more PvE. Now don't get me wrong, there's still the core of roleplay is player versus player, right? Your interactions with other factions, with other players. But there is a focus on building things in a way that allow you to do things as a player versus environment as kind of a break from the constant, let's say, shootouts with cops. You can go commit a crime that is purely player versus environment. You can go pull off in fact, a really good example is Vangelicos has 3 different ways to there's now 3 different ways you can rob Vangelicos, and one of those ways is purely player versus environment, where the cops never even get called. And it's really just up to you and your crew versus the environment to rob Vangelicos. Like I said, that's just one of 3 ways. There's plenty of other ways that have involvement with cops. The dumb and loud approach that everybody does. You can still do that, still get the cops to respond and your hostages and everything else. But there's other more intricate ways of doing things that are more of an environmental challenge than a challenge with other players. There's another heist that is entirely 100% altogether purely player versus environment. There's a couple different ways to complete it, but they all involve fighting against NPCs and not other players or other cops. Just to give you more variety in what kind of activities you can do. So it's really fun. Like I said, we were testing something related to gang territories that was player versus environment, and we kept testing it over and over because it was just so much fun to play. And so we kind of ran with that idea and wanted to start incorporating that into other legal and illegal activities. And so that's going to be an ongoing focus as we continue to develop season 2. Is if we're building a heist, or we're building an activity of some sort, can we build multiple different ways to do that into it? So there's a PvE way if you just want to go, get away from the crowds and have fun with your buddies, or that traditional PvP way if you want to create some really interesting role play with other people.
That is awesome. It really sounds like there's something for everybody, every style of RP that you may be into or just have a momentary flavor for, based on whatever the day holds. I'm super excited about that. Talk to me a little bit about this next one, career retirement mechanics. This is a new one, I think, to a lot of us.
It is. It's something that I'm really excited about. I was thinking about this long before season 2 began development, and it was honestly one of the first things that I built just because I was so excited about it. I'm not going to speak too much to this because I know tomorrow we've got a whole video coming up just about jobs and careers and all of the changes there in season 2. But one thing that I can kind of say about this is that when your story is coming to a close, you can retire. You'll have a interest-bearing retirement account ready for you when you retire that you can withdraw money from. Just make sure that your character is ready to retire, because once you make that choice to retire and start drawing money from your retirement account, you can never take another job in the city again. So
that's pretty serious.
And it is. And it's one of those things where it kind of ties into that one character thing, right? When you have played your character out to its fullest extent and you're ready to try something new, you have this kind of nest egg that you can take and you can go, buy crazy cars or buy an airplane or just do something crazy with it, or just if you've worked long enough and your character is, you're going to role play retired. Your character is done working and you're ready to just relax and hang out at the VU. Well, you've got, your retirement nest egg to go draw from. And we'll cover more of how that works and how money gets into that retirement account tomorrow when we kind of do a deep dive on careers.
Wow, I'm just imagining Ford with a 401k lounging around in his socks and sandals.
It's a thing. It's really exciting, and it's just one of those things that makes the overall focus. There's a big focus on jobs in season 2, and turning those jobs into careers, and that's just one component of kind of the entire reworking of how people think about jobs in 5M roleplay in general.
That's really exciting. Can't wait to see that. Can't wait to throw my career down the drain just to retire. All right. Well, Charles, this has been a really great talk. I know we've got some other stuff coming up for our next episode here. Do you want to give us a little rundown about what we can expect next?
Yeah. We're just a couple days away from launching season 2 on Friday. Tomorrow we're going to do a deep dive into careers and jobs and retirement accounts and everything there. There's a lot of core gameplay mechanics that have changed around jobs, and I think it's something that's really exciting to talk about and just give people a heads up on what to expect in season 2. And then Thursday we're going to be looking at gang life in season 2 and some of the changes to gangs. We're going to talk about crafting and bribing NPCs and controlling territories and all of that fun stuff.
Awesome. Well, obviously, you guys know the hype is real. Welcome to the Encore Season 2 hype train. Until we meet again.